In this video, we're gonna learn how to make tables accessible in Adobe Acrobat Pro DC. We're going to cover important concepts like exporting from Microsoft Word, from PowerPoint, and from Excel. Then we're gonna look at 3 key components of tagging a table inside of Adobe Acrobat Pro DC. First, we'll simply review those specific export options. Then we will look at how to manually tag a table. Then we'll look at the auto tagging of a document within Adobe Acrobat. Finally, we're going to look at how to solve some complex issues when it comes to table accessibility, like row irregularity, how to add a table summary to a PDF, how to set the scope for our column and row headings, and how to deal with a variety of complex issues when it comes to table remediation. Welcome to the Accessibility Guy channel. My name is Sean Jordison, and let's jump into the ring. Let's briefly review the different tag types that are associated with the table tag. First, we have the table parent tag. Now, every table parent tag will contain table rows or TR tags. And typically, every table row tag will either contain a table header, which is a capital TH tag, or a TD cell, a capital TD. The structure of these tables are very important to maintaining the accessibility in working with PDF and other file types. In this first example, let's look how to convert a Microsoft Word document that contains a table over to Adobe PDF. In this Microsoft Word file, I have 3 different table types. We have a medium complexity, a simple complexity, and a complex data table. Now, what we're going to do is simply validate the accessibility of these tables in Microsoft Word. To do that, I'm going to first go into my simple data table, as this is the easiest to explain. Then we're gonna choose table design, and our options are currently set to header row and first column. I also have banded rows selected, but it doesn't really mean much because I have just a simple table style applied, which I also recommend doing. You can choose any of the default styles that are built into Word, but make sure that they are passing color contrast requirements. We're then going to right-click the table, select Table Properties, and under Row, we have the option to select Allow Row to break across pages, and we have deselected Repeat as header row at the top of each page. Now, in some cases, if this was going to stay in Microsoft Word, I would select this option, Repeat as header row. In this example, though, I am not going to select this option. Let's go ahead and select OK, and let's go up to our more complicated table at the top. Let's select Table Design. In this example, we have header row selected, first column, and we also have merged cells, which is typically against best practices for accessibility. Merged cells can create difficulties for assistive technologies in navigating data from within a table. We are actually going to fix this specific error though inside of Adobe Acrobat Pro DC using some advanced remediation techniques. And at the bottom, we have a complex data table. Let's select the table, and under Table Design, we have header row, first column, and banded rows. We also have some data that is spanning over 2 pages, and it has vertical text. I'll be curious to see how this table gets transferred over to our PDF. But as of now, they are as accessible as they can be in Microsoft Word without me having to go through and actually remove the merging and the blank cells. Let's go ahead and convert this over. We're gonna select File and then Save As, and let's change the drop-down menu over to PDF. Then we're gonna select the Save button. Let's go ahead and open up that PDF that was generated from Microsoft Word. And in theory, all of the hard work that we did in Microsoft Word will be carried over into our PDF. Let's select the Tags button. We have an H2 tag, we have a table, an H2 tag, a table, an H1 tag, and our complex table. So in this example of converting over from Microsoft Word to PDF, we can determine that our baseline structure from Word was carried over. Now let's go ahead and take a look how we're going to convert a table in PowerPoint to PDF. Let's first check the accessibility of our table. I'm going to select the table and then go to the Table Design tab. Now in here we have just header row selected, not banded rows, but that's because I don't want the first column to show up in this example. Let's go to Table 2, and in this example, our table design, we just have header row, and we could pick first column, but in this example, I'm going to leave it as is, and we have like somewhat of a nested heading structure inside of this content. Now to convert this PowerPoint over to PDF, we're gonna follow these steps. Select File, select Save As, and in the drop-down menu, change it from PowerPoint over to PDF. Then we're gonna select Save. Let's go ahead and open up our PDF, and let's just take a peek at the tags panel. In this example, we have a document tag, that's great, and it does appear that our content is being carried over appropriately from within our PowerPoint. So we've got a T head tag, which is not required, a T body tag, which is also not required, but our header structure is going through. And everything is looking like it at least was carried over from PowerPoint. Next, let's review how to export from an Excel document over to PDF. I have my sample Excel document pulled up, and it already has a table that has been made accessible, but let's just run through it really quick. We have our header cell. We also have a header row for type, complexity, and price, and our data has actually been inserted as a table. This is an important delineation for Excel accessibility. Your data has to be entered as a table. Now that we've done that, let's go to the File button and let's select Save As. We're gonna change the drop-down menu to PDF, and let's go ahead and save this file. Next, let's open the PDF and select the Tags button, and let's just review the tags really quick just to make sure everything came through appropriately. And it does appear that the content is slightly out of order, but that's because Excel to PDF is a little more complicated and it's going to take a little bit more energy to get it accessible. But as I can see here in the Excel sheet itself, the data is coming over appropriately. Now I got lucky because I'm just using a dummy Excel sheet. There are some advanced techniques that you might need to consider when exporting over from Excel to PDF. All right, let's take a look at how to tag a table in Adobe Acrobat Pro DC. We have 3 different samples here. We have one from Word, from PowerPoint, and from Excel. And what we can determine is the one from Microsoft Word really comes over the best. The one from PowerPoint is also pretty good. And then we have the one from Excel, which appears to have brought over some additional tables in the content. We are gonna have to spend some extra time ensuring that this table is actually set up appropriately. The other method I wanna show you for actually tagging a table, I wanna start with a blank table. So I'm gonna go back to my Microsoft Word document and I'm going to do the forbidden rule. I'm going to print to PDF. And this is going to strip all of the formatting out of my document. And now our PDF does not have any tags in it whatsoever. So there's a couple of different ways we can now tag this table. Let's do the first manual way. I'm going to use my reading order tool. So let's select Prepare for Accessibility and then select Fix Reading Order. Now what we can do is come in and grab some of the text. Let's grab another table. We'll make it a heading level 2. Let's try that again. It did not appear in my tags panel. All right, let's see. We're having difficulty. Let's select the table and select table. And for some reason, the tags are not coming through. Let's see if we can do a document tag. Sometimes you need to get a root inside of it. Now let's do that again. Let's do Fix Reading Order. Let's see if we can get some of this to appear. For some reason, I cannot get this text to be tagged. Let's select the text, go to the options menu and create tag from selection. There we go. Let's do right click new tag and we're gonna put it in an H1 element and we at least now have something in here. Let's open up the reading order tool again. You know, sometimes if I actually just save the file and reopen it, the features will come back. So I'm going to close that file and let's reopen it now. Go back to the tags window. Now let's do Prepare for Accessibility, Fix Reading Order, and let's try tagging this table again manually. I'm gonna select the table and then choose Table. And it's still not coming up. Interesting. So my reading order tool is basically useless right now. I can't get this contents to be tagged. So this happens occasionally. I'm not exactly sure what is causing this issue. So we're gonna go to the next step. We could actually just create it from scratch. So I guess we're gonna do that. We're gonna right click, create a new tag, and select table, or type in table. And every table has rows. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 rows. This is gonna be a little long, but we're gonna right click, new tag, right click, new tag, enter. We're gonna do this 9 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. We're gonna move all these rows inside of the table by clicking and dragging. And then what we need to do is we need 3 header cells. So we're gonna right click the TR, select new tag, and we're gonna do TH for a table header. We're gonna do this 3 times as there are 3 headers in this top row. And then we're going to select those cells and nest them under the table row. And now I'm gonna select the first TH, and then I'm going to select category, and we're gonna go to the options button and then select create tag from selection. Now, the biggest reason for this is because the content is not letting me use that reading order tool. This is also why it's better sometimes to start with a file that came over from Microsoft Word. So that's one method we could do, is manually tag this table. But we're actually just gonna jump to the final way that we can tag a table, and that's gonna be automatically tagging it. So I have in my document preferences, auto AI tagging enabled. To ensure that you have that enabled, let's select the menu button. Then we're gonna choose preferences, and under accessibility, there's a checkbox in the bottom of the window that says enable cloud-based auto tagging for accessibility. You want to ensure that is selected and then select OK. Then we're gonna automatically tag the PDF. Now, whenever you do this, it's gonna overwrite everything that you already did in the file. So it's important to note that, but wow, it's hard to compete with it these days. I have older videos where this process never in a million years would work. But as we can tell, our table was properly created. We have a table row. We have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 rows. Let's check out the smartest one. That's amazing, and largest, and the top one. So what I'm doing right now is determining that there are table headers applied. And what's crazy about this is that I believe it automatically set the scope. So in some cases, we have to adjust the scope of our content. So let's determine whether or not largest is set up appropriately. We're gonna select the fix reading order button. We're going to right click our table and select table editor. And what I can determine visually is that the row is properly set to have a scope of 3 columns. This is unreal that it did it by itself. Let's right click the largest cell here, the cell that has the word largest in it, and select table cell properties. And again, it automatically set the column span for this data. It is unreal to me that it did that. It's also set to be a header cell, but the scope is set to none. We're gonna make it be a row header, a row scope, and select OK. And then we want to do the same for smartest. Let's right click it, select table cell properties. We want header cell selected to row. And again, the column span is properly set on here. Absolutely amazing. We're going to also choose most armored and fastest. Let's right click them, select table cell properties. These are going to be set to a header cell, and I want the scope to be row, and select OK. Next, we're going to choose category, dinosaur, and fact. Right click them, select table cell properties. We want them set to be a header cell and the scope set to column, and then select OK. So we have now properly made this table accessible in Adobe Acrobat Pro DC. Let's go ahead and run the built-in accessibility checker to see if there's any problems with our first table. Actually, you know what? There's going to be a problem. It's the table summary. So let's add a table summary. I'm going to select fixed reading order. Let's right click the table and select edit table summary. This is where we can give it a summary. We're just going to put dinosaurs in here and select OK. Close that window out. Let's save it again, and let's run the accessibility checker. I want to ensure I'm in the prepare for accessibility option, then select check for accessibility, then select start checking. Our document is only failing on a couple of things. It looks like we're missing a summary on table 2 and table 3, but if you notice, there's no errors on my first table. Let's go ahead and launch the Pack 2024 tool and see if there are any problems with my first table. I'm going to launch the Pack 2024 tool. Now there are going to be problems in it, but I just want to see if there's any problems with the first table that we set up. Let's drag our file into the Pack 2024 checker. And what we have, let's see, for PDF UA, WCAG, let's do WCAG. Let's open it up, and I'm going to review some of the errors. We've got table header cell assignments. Now what I'm checking for is the first table. Aha, and this begins on the second table. That's because when I set my scope for my rows and my columns, everything was set up appropriately. That's fantastic. If I open up the navigable, that doesn't have anything to do with the tables. So it looks like we properly made our table accessible in that first table. Let's go back to the tags panel, and I want to review the final table. Wow, this one is split across 2 pages, but the contents are actually pretty good. So let's review. Our top level header has 1, 2, 3, 4 header cells. Our next one has 2 headings. We've got network and name, and they're both set appropriately. And then let's see, WWE is set to a header. Stone Cold is set to a header, and it should not be. So let's open up the reading order tool. Let's select all tools. We are going to do prepare for accessibility, fix reading order, and let's right click the table and select table editor. So what we can determine, we're just going to go through this. Let's select the top characteristics, categories, number of matches, number of wins. Let's right click it, select table cell properties. We've got header cells. We're going to set the scope to column, and the column span for characteristics is actually 2, network and names. But categories, number of matches, and number of wins are all 1. Let's select OK. And now I'm going to go back to characteristics and double check that the column span is set to 2 for network and names. Right click, table cell properties, perfect, column span 2. Now network and names are going to be table headers. Let's right click them, select table cell properties. Right now the scope is going to be set to column, and they have a column span of 1. That's perfect. Let's select OK. Now WWE and AEW, whoops, let's right click, table editor, WWE and AEW. Let's just do one at a time because these little blue lines in my table are throwing me off. Let's right click WWE, select table cell properties. Now this is a header cell. It looks like I actually have multiple things selected. Let me try that again. Right click, table editor. We're just going to do one. WWE, right click. So the scope, it's set to a header cell. It's got a row span of 3. That is actually correct. Stone Cold, Kane, and Shawn Michaels. But we want it to be a row header. And then select OK. Let's do AEW next. I'm going to click it, right click it, select table cell properties. This has a row span of 5. I guess that's correct. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Perfect. It's actually going to be a header cell set to row. OK. And now John Moxley actually is a merged cell. Let's right click it, select table cell properties. And it's got a row span of 5, but it actually just needs to be a row span of 3. And it's not a header cell. So we're going to change it to a data cell and select OK. Now it's possible that I just broke the table, but it does require that we go to this level of depth for separating out where our headers are. Now the real trick is going to be to go back and check the header cell ID of characteristics. Let's right click it, select table cell properties, and the ID is R1C1 character. Let's select OK. Let's now select network and names, right click them, select table cell properties. We need to add the associated header cell ID. Let's select the plus button, and there's a drop down here, and we want row 1, cell 1 character, and then select OK, and then select OK. And this is how we manually tie our nested table cells to the appropriate header structure. Now, I'll be honest, this is a pain, and it would take me a really long time to finish out this table. Honestly, I would rather it just be made accessible like this simple data table. So this is actually the same exact data table, but I designed it in a way that we have clear columns no merge cells, and no blank cells. And honestly, it's just a lot better. There's no confusion. The data is repeated a little bit, but I just wanted to have a lot of table data. But this is the better way to tag a table. It's just very simplistic. If we go into the tags panel of this table, let me find it. It's very clear. We have a table row that has a table header, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Our first column is all set. All the rows are in here properly. This table is totally set up appropriately. And if I wanted to double check, we could do a fixed reading order, right click the table, select table editor, and we're just going to ensure that our top level heading is set up appropriately. Let's right click it, select table cell properties, our header cell with a scope of column, select OK. We then want to choose all these ones on the far left. So I'm holding my shift key and individually clicking each one of the cells because I want to change the attributes of all of them. You could also drag your mouse and select them all. Let's right click, select table cell properties. We want to select header cell, change the scope to row, and select OK. And then in the table editor again, you could right click in the table, select edit table summary, and this is where you would add your summaries. That concludes today's video on how to make tables accessible in Adobe Acrobat Pro DC. We covered a whole bunch of stuff. And look, I'll be honest, I want to help you get accessible. So why don't you schedule a time right now to meet with me for free? There's a link in the description. Not only can I show you an in-depth training on how to make your documents accessible, I could simply do the work for you, or you can join my exclusive community built right here into YouTube, where we cover in-depth tutorials just like this in over 100 exclusive videos. And I just like to thank all of you for your support. And as always, I could be your champion for inclusion. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I'll see you next time.